I stand out an hour and a half and just waiting and waiting for somebody to come out so I could go in.
What's that like?
Cold, really cold.
Across America, winter isn't just cold. It's a test of who survives the night. Tonight, I'm bringing you one story made from 4 different cities merged together to show a reality most people never see. In Maryland, more than 7,200 people step into subzero nights with nowhere to go. Detroit's abandoned factories shelter 6,700 souls fighting freezing wind that cuts through metal and skin. Portland wakes up to icy tents, blankets frozen stiff, as 8,900 Americans open their eyes to another day outside. And in Denver, the air is thin, the cold is deep, and 11,500 people battle a winter that takes strength, breath, and hope. 4 cities, thousands of lives, and one truth. This isn't bad weather. This is survival, happening in the richest country on earth. That's why I merged all 4 stories into one stream, so you can see the full picture, the reality behind the numbers, the faces behind the cold. If this message hits you, if you believe these stories deserve to be heard, then please like the video, subscribe, and help us reach 5,000 subscribers. Your support helps these voices reach the people who need to hear them.
It's so cold, your body just freaking aches.
And it's starting to take its toll.
I can't take this much longer, man.
The cold. So the cold is pretty much the biggest thing you got to survive out here, being on the streets. There's people who have, from the hypothermia, just.
It's cold at night, man. It really is. And down here, especially on top of concrete.
When you look at your setup here, what kind of goes through your head? What do you feel?
I just have no family left. I'm all alone.
After the COVID hit, then the rent prices went skyrocket. I can't pay $1,300 for a 1-bedroom apartment, so I got expedited out of the place, and I've been homeless ever since.
Winter in Maryland doesn't arrive gently. It settles into the streets, hard and unforgiving, through biting wind, falling snow, and temperatures that strip warmth from the body within minutes. As this winter deepens, more than 7,200 people are facing it without shelter, while emergency facilities across the state are already full. When the doors close, the cold doesn't pause. It moves in. Sidewalks become bedrooms. Bus stops become protection from wind. Thin blankets, cardboard, and layers of clothing become the only defense against subzero nights. This is not simply a weather problem. It's a survival reality unfolding in one of the wealthiest nations on Earth. Every snowfall increases the risk. Every freezing night drains strength. And every decision, where to sleep, how to stay dry, how to stay warm, can mean the difference between making it through the night or not. Winter exposes what's usually hidden. When shelters are full and temperatures keep falling, the crisis becomes impossible to ignore. This documentary takes you inside America's winter homelessness emergency, where snowstorms, full shelters, and human survival collide, and staying alive becomes the only objective. This winter, Maryland is facing more than just snow and freezing temperatures. For thousands of people, it's a season of survival. In this documentary, we'll take a closer look at how subzero cold, full shelters, and relentless winter storms are shaping daily life for those experiencing homelessness across the state. If you find stories like this important, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us continue sharing real stories that matter, especially during the harshest winter months. Chapter 1. When winter retreats into a fight for survival. Winter in Maryland does not arrive softly. It moves in with freezing wind, heavy snow, and cold that tightens its grip every single night. For many Americans, winter means warmth indoors. But for thousands without shelter, winter means exposure, risk, and uncertainty. As temperatures drop below freezing, the streets slowly become places where survival replaces comfort. Sidewalks covered in snow turn into sleeping spaces. Bus stops become shields against the wind, and darkness stretches longer with every passing day. Cold air pulls heat from the body faster than it can be replaced, especially when there are no walls, no roofs, and no reliable source of warmth. Even a few hours outside can weaken the body, draining energy, slowing movement, and increasing danger. Snow makes clothing wet, and wet clothing turns freezing temperatures into a serious threat. Rest becomes difficult, sleep becomes shallow, and the cold never truly lets go. Winter storms do more than block roads. They block access to food, transportation, and emergency help. Every decision matters: where to sit, where to stand, when to move, and when to endure. Short daylight hours reduce options, long nights increase risk, and the body pays the price. What looks quiet from the outside hides a reality shaped by constant calculation and quiet resilience. Winter does not create homelessness, but it exposes how fragile survival becomes without shelter. And as Maryland's winter deepens, the streets tell a story few ever hear, a story where staying alive is the only goal. This is how winter transforms ordinary spaces into places where endurance defines every moment. And this is where the crisis truly begins. Chapter 2. When cold temperatures rise and housing becomes unreachable. Winter is not dangerous only because of snow. It becomes dangerous when temperatures fall below critical levels. In Maryland winters, temperatures often drop below 32°F, and during cold waves, they can fall into the teens or single digits. At these levels, the human body begins losing heat faster than it can produce it. Medical studies show that prolonged exposure below 20°F can lead to hypothermia, frostbite, and loss of muscle control within hours. Now imagine facing those temperatures, without insulation, without heat, and without a guaranteed place to sleep. This is where shelters become essential. But winter does not exist in isolation. it collides with another crisis: housing affordability. Over the past few years, average rent across Maryland has continued to placing stable housing further out of reach for many low-income households. For people already struggling financially, a rent increase of even a few $100s can mean losing housing entirely. When winter arrives, those who cannot afford rent are pushed outdoors at the coldest time of the year. Shelters are meant to absorb this pressure, but they were never designed to replace permanent housing. As cold days repeat and rent remains unaffordable, shelter demand grows faster than space can expand. This creates a dangerous overlap, where extreme cold meets limited shelter capacity, and rising housing costs prevent quick recovery. Winter temperatures do not adjust to income levels, and rent prices do not pause for cold weather. When these forces collide, survival becomes harder, and options disappear. This is why winter homelessness is not just seasonal. It is structural, economic, and environmental. And in freezing temperatures, those realities become impossible to ignore. Chapter 3: How extreme cold affects the human body in winter. Cold weather is not just uncomfortable, it changes how the human body functions. When temperatures drop below freezing, the body works harder to protect its core, pulling heat away from hands, feet, and skin. This process increases the risk of hypothermia, a condition that can begin when body temperature falls below 95 F. Early signs include shivering, confusion, slow movement, and extreme fatigue. In freezing conditions, these symptoms can appear faster than most people realize. Frostbite becomes another serious risk, especially when skin is exposed to cold wind and moisture. At temperatures below 20 F, frostbite can begin in as little as 30 minutes for someone sleeping outdoors. Wet socks, damp gloves, or snow-soaked clothing can accelerate this damage. Cold also weakens the immune system, making it easier for infections to develop and harder for the body to heal. Chronic conditions like asthma, heart disease, and untreated injuries become more dangerous in winter. At this point, if you're finding this information valuable, please take a moment to like the video. It helps educational stories like this reach more people. Another hidden danger of winter exposure is exhaustion. The body burns more calories trying to stay warm, even while rest and nutrition become harder to access. Sleep deprivation adds to the risk, reducing judgment, reaction time, and the ability to make safe decisions. During snowstorms, emergency response times can slow, increasing danger during medical crises. What makes winter is that many symptoms develop quietly. Cold does not always feel urgent until it becomes life-threatening. This is why winter exposure is considered a public health emergency, not just a seasonal inconvenience, and for those without shelter. The cold is not something they escape, it is something they endure, hour after hour. This is the reality behind winter survival, where the body becomes the first line of defense, and the cold truly lets go. Chapter 4: When snowstorms shut down cities and survival becomes harder. Snowstorms do more than cover streets in white. They quietly disrupt every system people rely on to survive. As heavy snow begins to fall, roads become slippery, sidewalks disappear, and movement turns dangerous. Public transportation slows or shuts down entirely. Buses run late, trains are delayed, suspended during severe weather. For someone with stable housing, this is an inconvenience. For someone experiencing homelessness, It can mean losing access to food, medical care, and warming centers miles away. Snow hides hazards beneath the surface: ice, uneven ground, and frozen puddles, increasing the risk of falls and injuries. During winter storms, emergency services often face delays as icy roads slow response times. A medical emergency that might be manageable on a clear day can become life-threatening during a storm. Snow also affects visibility, making it harder for outreach teams to locate people, and harder for individuals to signal for help. Cold weather shelters may extend hours during storms, but reaching them becomes the challenge. Walking long distances in snow, while carrying belongings, drains energy the body cannot afford to lose in freezing temperatures. Wet snow seeps into shoes and clothing, turning cold exposure into a serious danger. Storms don't just last a few hours. They often leave behind days of icy conditions, keeping systems disrupted long after snowfall ends. For those outdoors, this means fewer options, fewer safe routes, and longer exposure to extreme cold. What looks peaceful from a window feels relentless on the streets. Snowstorms reveal how fragile survival becomes when mobility is lost and help is just out of reach. In winter, the storm is not just the snow falling from the sky, it is everything that stops working afterward. And for those without shelter, each storm into an even steeper uphill climb. Chapter 5. Behind the Numbers. 7,200 lives facing winter outdoors. The number sounds simple. 7,200 people experiencing homelessness across Maryland this winter. But behind that number are real people, real decisions, and moments where everything changed, like one man who worked full-time for years, until rising rent increased faster than his paycheck, and one missed payment turned into eviction. Today, he sleeps in a small tent behind a shopping center, trying to keep snow off thin fabric and hope alive. Or the woman who lived paycheck to paycheck, until heating bills and medical costs piled up, and choosing warmth meant missing rent. Now, she spends winter nights on a sidewalk, wrapping herself in layers, listening to traffic instead of silence. These stories are not rare. They are repeating across cities and towns. Some lost housing suddenly. Others slowly slipped behind. One bill, one storm, one setback at a time. Winter does not ask. It only tests how long you can endure. Older adults lose body heat faster, making freezing temperatures especially dangerous. Families face impossible choices between shelter availability, safety, and staying together. For many, homelessness was never part of the plan, and winter makes recovery slower and harder. Job searches pause, appointments are missed, and survival takes priority over everything else. What remains visible is not failure, but resilience under pressure. These are not strangers. They are neighbors, workers, parents, caught in the cold at the worst possible time. The number 7,200 is not just data. It is thousands of unfinished stories, unfolding night after night in winter. And as temperatures fall, each story shares the same question: how to survive until spring arrives. Chapter 6. How communities respond when winter hits hardest. When winter tightens its grip, help does not disappear. It adapts. Across Maryland, outreach teams move through snow-covered streets, checking on people during the coldest nights. Volunteers distribute winter coats, thermal blankets, gloves, and hot drinks meant to restore warmth. Mobile outreach units focus on prevention, watching for early signs, and guiding people toward available shelters. During extreme cold alerts, Local governments often open warming centers, extending hours in public buildings like libraries and community halls. These spaces offer temporary relief, a few hours of heat, and a chance to recover from exposure. Medical volunteers play a critical role, treating frostbite, respiratory issues, and cold-related injuries on the spot. But winter response is complex because need rises faster than resources. Outreach teams are limited by staff, weather conditions, and the same snowstorms affecting everyone else. Reaching people becomes harder when streets are icy and visibility is low. Despite these challenges, communities continue to show up. Faith groups prepare hot meals, nonprofits coordinate emergency supplies, and neighbors report concerns when they see someone in danger. Education also matters during winter response, helping people recognize cold-related symptoms early, before conditions become life-threatening. These efforts save lives. They are often temporary solutions, working against long-term housing shortages. Winter response is not about fixing homelessness overnight. It is about preventing loss of life during the coldest months. Every blanket, every check-in, and every open warming center represents a moment of protection against winter. And while winter exposes the limits of systems, it also reveals the power of collective action. In the coldest conditions, community becomes one of the strongest defenses. Chapter 7. Why Winter Makes Homelessness Harder to Escape. Winter does more than create discomfort. It slows every possible path forward. Cold weather limits movement, reduces opportunity, and drains the energy needed to rebuild stability. Finding work becomes harder, construction slows, outdoor jobs disappear, and interviews are missed due to snow and transit delays. Transportation becomes unreliable. Buses are canceled, roads are unsafe, and reaching appointments takes more effort than the body can afford. Cold forces people to focus on survival first, finding warmth, staying dry, and protecting basic health. When survival takes priority, long-term planning becomes almost impossible. Even small setbacks matter more in winter. A missed appointment, a lost ID, or a storm that cancels services for days. Cold weather also increases fatigue. The body burns more calories to stay warm, while access to food becomes less predictable. Sleep is disrupted by freezing temperatures, reducing focus, judgment, and the ability to make safe decisions. Health issues worsen during winter, turning manageable conditions into serious barriers. Without consistent warmth, recovery slows, and setbacks last longer. Housing searches pause as well. Fewer units become available, and rising rents do not provide temporary relief, but they cannot replace stability or create permanent exits from home. Reduces physical strength and delays the chance to move forward. What looks like stagnation is often exhaustion caused by months of exposure. Winter reveals a difficult truth. Escaping homelessness requires energy, and winter takes that energy away. This is why winter homelessness lasts longer, costs more, and leaves deeper scars. And for many, spring does not represent relief, but recovery from a season that took everything it could. Chapter 8. The Mental and Emotional Weight of Surviving Winter Outdoors. Winter doesn't only affect the body, it slowly weighs on the mind. Cold nights stretch longer, darkness arrives earlier, and isolation becomes harder to ignore. When temperatures drop, people retreat indoors, and public spaces grow quiet. For those living outside, this silence feels heavier. Human interaction becomes limited, fewer passers-by, fewer conversations, and fewer chances to be seen. Stress builds as the body stays in constant alert mode, listening for danger, watching the weather, and preparing for the cold to worsen. Sleep deprivation becomes common as freezing temperatures interrupt rest, and safety concerns prevent deep sleep. Without proper rest, anxiety increases. Decision-making becomes harder. Winter also amplifies uncertainty. Not knowing where to sleep, or whether help will be available the next day. This uncertainty can lead to hopelessness, especially during repeated storms and cold waves. Mental health conditions like depression and anxiety often worsen during winter exposure, without consistent access to care or support. Cold weather limits access to services, appointments are missed, and outreach becomes less frequent. Loneliness intensifies when days pass without warmth or reassurance that things will improve. For many, the hardest part of winter is not the snow, but the feeling of being forgotten. Survival requires resilience, but resilience has limits. When winter drags on, even strong minds begin to tire. This emotional exhaustion is rarely visible, but it shapes every decision and every moment outdoors. Winter homelessness is not just physical hardship, it is mental endurance, tested day after day. And as the cold continues, the greatest challenge becomes holding on to hope when winter gives so little back. Chapter 9. What actually helps during winter. Small actions that save lives. Winter solutions are not always dramatic, but they are often life-saving. During extreme cold, even small actions can make a measurable difference. A warm blanket can slow heat loss, dry socks can prevent frostbite, and a hot drink can help stabilize body temperature. Outreach teams focus on practical needs first: warmth, hydration, and early medical attention. Education also plays a critical role. Knowing the signs of hypothermia, such as confusion, slurred speech, and uncontrollable shivering, allows faster response before conditions become fatal. Communities that share information about warming centers, extended shelter hours, and emergency cold alerts reduce winter-related harm. Donations matter most when they are seasonal. Coats in winter, not leftovers from warmer months. Financial support helps shelters expand hours, hire temporary staff, and respond during cold waves. Advocacy matters too. Policies that fund emergency housing, rent assistance, and winter utility support reduce the number of people pushed outdoors during the coldest months. Checking in also matters. A phone call, a reported concern, or simply noticing someone struggling in the cold can activate help. Winter response works best when communities act early, before storms arrive, and before temperatures reach dangerous levels. No single action solves homelessness, but winter safety depends on layered support. When people understand the risks and respond with awareness, fewer lives are lost to the cold. Winter does not have to be deadly when preparation replaces indifference. These small actions may seem simple, but in freezing temperatures, they often mean survival. And in a season where so much is out of reach, even small help carries real weight. Chapter 10. When winter ends, what remains after the cold. Winter eventually loosens its grip. Snow melts, temperatures rise, and the season quietly changes. But for many, the impact of winter does not disappear with the cold. Months of exposure leave behind exhaustion, worsened health, and setbacks that take time to heal. What winter reveals is not just hardship, but how fragile stability can be without shelter. Cold does not create homelessness, but it exposes the consequences of limited housing and rising costs. When spring arrives, the streets look different, but the need for solutions remains. Recovery does not happen overnight. It requires time, support, and consistent access to housing. The lessons of winter matter beyond the season. Preparing before cold arrives, expanding shelter capacity, and addressing affordability prevents future loss. Awareness is not enough by itself, but it is the first step toward action. Every winter teaches the same truth, that safety should not depend on the weather. The cold reminds us that shelter is not comfort, it is protection and dignity. As the last snow disappears, the stories continue. Some will find stability, others will still be searching. What happens next depends on what is remembered once winter fades from view. This crisis does not belong to one season. It belongs to the choices made before the next one arrives. And as winter ends, the question remains, will the lessons of the cold be forgotten, or used to build something warmer and lasting? If this story stayed with you, if it made you pause, or see winter a little differently, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Not for numbers, but so these stories continue to be seen, especially by those who need to hear them most. Winter passes, but awareness can last much longer. Thank you for watching and for caring.
It's really rough. I mean, we live in a tent. It's snowing, as you can see. It's very cold out here, especially today. It's like in the zeros.
It's for the snowsuit. So whatever I'm into you. Okay. Don't make no excuse. Keep up. Don't make no excuse. I'm working down to them.
Definitely, this is death weather. Like, if you're not prepared for this, you're gonna die.
The snow piles up.
Yeah, I got 2 toboggans. Trying to stay warm.
Tim Rouse hunkers down.
Cold, but I survived. I made it.
Winter in Detroit doesn't arrive quietly. It settles in and refuses to leave. Snow drifts through abandoned streets, wind moves through rusted factories, and the cold sinks deep into the city's bones. For many, winter means warmth behind closed doors. But for more than 6,700 people in Detroit, winter means something else entirely. It means searching for shelter before nightfall. It means counting layers instead of hours. It means hoping the cold doesn't win. As snowstorms roll in, industrial ruins become fragile refuge. Sidewalks turn into bedrooms. Cars become temporary homes. And every freezing night carries quiet risk. Before we go any further, if stories like this matter to you, please like the video and subscribe. Your support helps the YouTube algorithm push this story to more people who need to see it, because this isn't a distant crisis. It's happening now, in America, in Detroit. And in the next moments, we're going to show you how winter truly reshapes survival here, the places people turn to, the choices they're forced to make, and why these cold nights matter more than most of us realize. Stay with us.
Not a whole lot, Charlie. How you doing?
What's yours?
Doug.
Hey, Doug. So you say you were living in a house with your fiance?
Yeah, there was a house right there on the corner.
Abandoned?
Abandoned.
What happened to your fiance?
She went to Clearview, got out of here, so that's good. She wound up getting pregnant after 6 years of us being together. Our first baby, born on Christmas Day.
How does a homeless go?
Chapter 1. When Winter Takes Hold. How Detroit's cold slowly turns everyday life into survival. Winter in Detroit doesn't arrive suddenly. It settles in quietly. The first snowfall feels calm. Streets turn white. Factories stand still. The city looks peaceful. But as the days pass, the temperature drops. The wind grows sharper. And winter begins to show its weight. For many people, this season means warm homes, hot meals, and doors that close against the cold. But for thousands of others across Detroit, winter means uncertainty. Daylight fades earlier, nights stretch longer, and every decision starts to revolve around one question. How do I stay warm tonight? Sidewalks harden with ice. Snow piles up along bus stops, under bridges, beside abandoned buildings. Places where people still sit, still wait, still try to rest. In winter, homelessness becomes impossible to overlook because the cold removes comfort, removes privacy, and leaves no room for mistakes. Finding a place to sleep grows harder as shelters fill quickly. Transportation slows during storms. Outreach teams face limits, and even a short walk can become dangerous when temperatures fall below freezing. Detroit's industrial past stands quietly in the background. Empty factories, silent warehouses, once symbols of strength, now covered in snow and rust. For some, these structures offer brief protection from the wind. Not safe, not warm, but better than the open street. Winter forces people to adapt fast. Cardboard becomes insulation. Layers replace blankets. And survival turns into a series of small, urgent choices made under pressure. This chapter isn't just about cold weather. It's about how winter transforms daily life, how familiar streets change, and how the season exposes realities many never see. But winter in Detroit doesn't pause. As the snow grows heavier and shelter options disappear, the struggle moves deeper into the city's forgotten spaces. And that's where the next chapter begins. Chapter 2. Sheltering from the Storm. How abandoned spaces become winter refuge. As winter deepens in Detroit, the city begins to close in. Snowstorms arrive without warning. Wind pushes through alleyways, and temperatures fall faster than help can reach everyone. When shelters reach capacity, people look elsewhere, under bridges, inside empty factories, behind boarded-up buildings. Detroit's abandoned spaces, once places of industry and movement, quietly turn into places of survival. Inside these structures, the cold never fully disappears. Broken windows let wind rush through. Concrete floors pull heat from the body. Darkness settles early and stays long. Still, for many, these spaces offer one thing the streets cannot: a break from the wind. Winter forces difficult choices. Stay outside and face the snow, or step into unsafe spaces for a little cover. There are no perfect options, only decisions made under pressure. people build makeshift shelters from what they can find. Cardboard, plastic sheets, old furniture pushed against doorways, small barriers against a powerful season. As storms continue, movement becomes harder. Roads freeze. Public transportation slows. Outreach teams struggle to reach those hidden away in industrial ruins. Winter doesn't just bring cold, it brings isolation. These forgotten spaces sit far from public view, far from warmth, far from safety. Yet night after night, people return. Because when winter tightens its grip, any shelter feels better than none. This chapter reveals a quiet truth. In Detroit, winter reshapes the city itself, turning empty spaces into lifelines. And lifelines into risks. But as storms grow stronger and nights grow colder, even these fragile shelters begin to fail, and the search for warmth pushes people toward the last remaining option, the city's overwhelmed shelter system. Chapter 3. Warmth behind limited doors, when winter shelters reach their breaking point. As winter tightens its grip on Detroit, the doors meant to offer warmth begin to fill. Shelters open early on freezing days. Lines form before sunset. People wait quietly, watching the sky darken. And the temperature fall. Inside, space is limited. Beds fill fast. And every cold night brings more people. Then there are places to sleep. For many, getting a shelter bed depends on timing. Arrive early, or keep moving through the cold. Winter places enormous pressure on these spaces. Staff work longer hours. Volunteers stretch limited resources. Heating systems run non-stop. Even so, capacity has limits. Some shelters open only during extreme weather. Others rotate availability. Snowstorms slow transportation, making even reaching a shelter uncertain. Before we go any further, if this story matters to you, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps the YouTube algorithm share this reality with more people who need to see it. For those turned away, the night doesn't pause, the cold doesn't soften, and the city grows quieter. Shelters are more than buildings. They are moments of relief, a chance to warm hands, to rest, to feel safe if only briefly. But winter reveals a difficult truth. The need is greater than the space available. As temperatures drop further, choices become sharper. Stay in line and hope, or return to the streets before the cold deepens. And when shelter doors close and winter shows no mercy, survival becomes about more than warmth. It becomes about health, endurance, and the quiet risks carried through every frozen night. Chapter 4. Cold that lingers. Winter health risks hidden in plain sight. As winter stretches on in Detroit, the cold begins to leave marks that aren't always visible. Freezing air settles deep into the body. Hands stiffen, breath becomes shallow, and minor aches turn into serious concerns. For people without stable shelter, winter health risks multiply quickly. Extended exposure to cold weakens the immune system. Respiratory conditions worsen. Simple injuries heal slowly, if at all. Snow and ice limit movement. Reaching clinics becomes harder. Public transportation slows. Appointments are missed. Cold nights don't allow proper rest. Sleep comes in short stretches. The body never fully recovers. Emergency rooms often become the last option, not because they are accessible, but because there is nowhere else to go. Winter doesn't just affect the body, it weighs on the mind. Isolation grows stronger as people withdraw from frozen streets. Darkness arrives early. Stress builds quietly. Mental health challenges intensify during long winters. Uncertainty, fear, and exhaustion overlap. And without consistent support, small struggles become heavy burdens. This chapter is not about extremes. It's about accumulation. Cold layered on cold. Night after night. Storm after storm. Winter health crises don't always happen suddenly. They develop quietly, out of sight, until help is urgently needed. And as the season continues, survival becomes more than finding shelter. It becomes about enduring what winter leaves behind. But as health risks rise and exhaustion sets in, another challenge begins to shape winter survival. One that isn't physical, but emotional. And it deepens as the nights grow longer. Chapter 5. The numbers behind the cold, housing gaps, rising rents, and winter reality. As winter continues in Detroit, the crisis becomes clearer when we look beyond the streets and into the numbers. Thousands of people across the city are experiencing homelessness during winter months. Some sleep in shelters, some in cars. Others move between temporary places, never staying long enough to feel stable. At the same time, affordable housing remains limited. Many apartments require steady income, security deposits, and first month's rent up front. For people living paycheck to paycheck, or without consistent work, these costs become impossible barriers. Room rentals are scarce, wait lists are long, and winter makes everything harder. Heating costs rise, utility bills increase. Landlords raise rents to cover expenses. But wages don't rise with the cold. For some, one unexpected expense, a medical bill, a missed paycheck, or a winter emergency, is enough to push them out of housing. This is how winter homelessness often begins. Not suddenly, but gradually. People double up with friends, sleep on couches, stay as long as they can, until there is no space left. Winter exposes these gaps clearly, because when temperatures drop, there is no room for instability. Homelessness isn't always about the absence of work. It's often about the absence of affordable options. And during winter, those gaps widen. What we see on frozen streets is only the final stage of a much longer struggle. But numbers don't tell the whole story. As winter stretches on, it's the emotional weight, the isolation, the exhaustion, that begins to define survival in the cold. And that's where the next chapter takes us. Chapter 6. When the cold gets inside, loneliness, mental health, and winter survival. As winter stretches deeper into Detroit, the cold begins to move beyond the body and into the mind. Winter nights are long here, sometimes 14 hours of darkness, and for people without stable housing, those hours feel even longer. Isolation increases sharply in winter. People stay indoors. Public spaces close early. Libraries, transit stations, and warming areas become harder to access. For many unhoused individuals, these spaces are the last places of connection. When they close, loneliness grows. Mental health professionals often note that winter increases anxiety, depression, and emotional exhaustion, especially when basic needs are uncertain. Sleep is broken, always alert, always listening. The body rests, but the mind doesn't. Cold weather also changes behavior. People move less to conserve energy. They speak less to avoid exposure. They withdraw, not by choice, but by necessity. Over time, this creates emotional numbness. Days blend together. Motivation fades. Hope becomes harder to hold on to. Winter doesn't create these struggles. It magnifies them. Without consistent shelter, Accessing mental health support is difficult. Appointments are missed. Transportation fails. Storms cancel plans. What remains is endurance. This chapter is about a quiet truth. Survival in winter is as much mental as it is physical, and for many, making it through the night means fighting battles no one else can see. But even in isolation, winter doesn't erase connection completely. As the cold deepens, outreach workers and volunteers step into the snow, trying to reach people others never see. And that's where the next chapter begins. Chapter 7. Walking into the Cold. Outreach teams, volunteers, and winter lifelines. As winter deepens in Detroit, help doesn't always come from buildings. Sometimes it comes from people willing to step into the snow. Outreach teams move through the city during the coldest months. On foot, in vans, late at night. They search under bridges, inside abandoned structures, along frozen sidewalks, places most people never look. Their goal is simple: check on people, offer supplies, provide information, blankets, hand warmers, hot drinks, and directions to warming centers. In winter, these small items matter. They can prevent frostbite, they can reduce risk, they can save lives. Outreach workers also build trust. Not everyone accepts help right away. Some have been turned away before. Some fear losing independence. Some are simply exhausted. Winter makes this work harder. Snow slows movement. Storms limit access. Cold shortens the time workers can safely stay outside. Volunteers step in where they can. Church groups, community organizations, neighbors helping neighbors. But resources are limited, and winter demand is high. Outreach isn't a solution. It's a bridge. A bridge between isolation and support, between exposure and warmth, between being unseen and being acknowledged. This chapter reminds us that even in harsh winter conditions, human connection persists. Sometimes it's the only thing pushing back against the cold. But as winter drags on and resources stretch thin, even outreach has its limits. And soon the pressure shifts from the streets to a system struggling to keep up. Chapter 8. Holding on through the cold. Resilience in small winter moments. As winter continues in Detroit, strength shows up in quiet ways. Not in big moments, but in small ones. A shared cup of hot coffee on a freezing morning. A donated coat that finally blocks the wind. A few hours of warmth inside a crowded shelter. In winter, these moments matter. People develop routines to survive the cold. Waking before sunrise, moving to stay warm, finding places where the wind is weaker. Resilience isn't loud, it's patient, it's repetitive. Many people form small communities, looking out for one another, sharing information about warming centers, warning each other about incoming storms. Winter pushes people together, not out of comfort, but out of necessity. Hope during winter is practical. It's about making it through today. Not about distant plans. Every morning survived is a quiet victory. This chapter reminds us that homelessness doesn't erase strength. Winter doesn't erase dignity. Even in the coldest conditions, people adapt. People persist. These moments don't fix the crisis, but they explain something important. Why people keep going. And as winter slowly begins to loosen its grip, a larger question starts to form, because resilience alone isn't enough. As the snow begins to melt, attention turns toward long-term answers and whether the system is ready when the next winter arrives. Chapter 9. After the snow falls, why winter keeps exposing the same housing gaps. As winter slowly begins to ease in Detroit, the cold doesn't disappear from the story. Snow melts, streets clear. But the pressures that winter revealed remain. Each winter, the same pattern returns. Emergency shelters fill, outreach expands temporarily, and resources stretch thin. When spring arrives, many emergency programs scale back. Warming centers close. Temporary funding ends. But homelessness doesn't end with winter. The underlying issues stay in place. A shortage of affordable housing, rising rents, limited supportive services. For many, housing options remain out of reach. Low-income apartments have long wait lists. Room rentals require deposits and proof of income. Housing vouchers are limited. Winter exposes these gaps because cold removes the margin for instability. Policy efforts exist. Programs are in place. But demand continues to exceed supply. Short-term winter responses save lives. But they don't prevent the next crisis. This chapter isn't about blame. It's about cycles. Without long-term housing solutions, each winter resets the emergency. Detroit's winters remind us that homelessness is not seasonal. Only our attention is. As temperatures rise, the question becomes unavoidable. What changes before the next winter arrives? Because understanding the problem isn't the final step. As this journey comes to a close, we turn toward what awareness can lead to: compassion, responsibility, and what happens next. Chapter 10. When Winter Ends. Awareness, compassion, and what we choose to see. As winter finally begins to loosen its grip on Detroit, the snow starts to melt. Streets reopen. People return to routine. And life appears to move forward. But for thousands of people, the struggle doesn't end with the cold. Winter may fade, but its impact remains. The nights survived. The risks taken, the exhaustion carried forward. This documentary wasn't about shock. It wasn't about numbers alone. It was about understanding. What winter reveals when shelter is uncertain. Homelessness in America often stays invisible until winter forces it into view. And awareness is where change begins, not just through policy, not just through funding, but through recognizing humanity. In places we're used to passing by, compassion doesn't require grand gestures. It begins with attention, with listening, with caring enough to see. As viewers, we have choices: to look away when the season changes, or to remember what winter showed us, because the next winter will come. And when it does, the question won't be about the weather. It will be about what we're willing to do differently. Winter will return to Detroit. The cold will test the city again. And when it does, will we still be paying attention? Thank you for watching. If this story moved you or made you think, please take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with others. Your support helps the YouTube algorithm reach more people with stories that matter. Feel free to leave a comment below, your thoughts, your perspective, or simply that you were here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.
Because I got stage 4 cancer. I don't know if I'm gonna make it through the winter.
Morning in Portland, 2026. Snow has settled overnight, turning sidewalks white, and tents stiff with ice. As the city slowly wakes, Snow crunches under passing cars. Frost clings to fabric. And cold air burns the lungs. Across the streets and under bridges, tents begin to unzip, hands numb from the night, blankets frozen solid at the edges. While many wake to heaters and hot coffee, 8,900 unsheltered Americans wake outside, facing winter without walls or reliable warmth. Snow hides the ground, but it doesn't hide the cold. It seeps through thin layers, settles into bones, and turns morning into the hardest part of the day. This is the Portland winter homeless crisis. Icy tents, snow-covered streets, and a season that shows no mercy. If this story matters to you, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring awareness to winter realities often unseen. And stay with us, because in the next part, we'll follow what these frozen mornings become as the cold tightens its grip on the city.
After the COVID hit, then the rent prices went skyrocket. I can't pay $1,300 for a one-bedroom apartment, so I got expedited out of the place, and I've been homeless ever since.
When winter tightens its grip on Portland streets. Winter in Portland is more than a change in weather. It reshapes.
I stand outside for an hour and a half and just waiting and waiting for somebody to come out so I could go in.
What's that like?
Cold, really cold.
Across America, winter isn't just cold. It's a test of who survives the night. Tonight, I'm bringing you one story.
I stand outside for an hour and a half and just waiting and waiting for somebody to come out so I could go in.
What's that like?
Cold, really cold. I stand outside for an hour and a half and just waiting and waiting for somebody to come out so I could go in.
What's that like?
Cold, really cold. I stand outside for an hour and a half and just waiting and waiting for somebody to come out so I could go in.
What's that like?
Cold, really cold.